And this is the Getting Stuff Done system. I was inspired by this system by David Allen's book. It's called Getting Things Done. So the first thing is to stack it. Get all your stuff in a collection box, everything in one location so that you can get to it and process those things. The next step is you want to get everything down to the next action. You don't want to manage the whole thing. That's overwhelming. You want to simplify it down to what is the next action that I need to take with this project, with this thing in my inbox. And then you want to process it, as in, what do I need to do? There's different buckets: project list, action list, calendar list, waiting for list, trash. I need to do something with this. What do I need to do? And then you need to remind yourself. Review these lists weekly or more as needed, because you put it in the system, and the key is that you look at it enough so that your brain starts to feel at ease that you're going to look at the things you need to do when you need to do it, and what it's not doing right now. It feels good about not doing it, because when it's time to act, you'll have what that is. Do it. When we start doing things, it's going to be by context, time, energy, and priority. So am I in the right place? Do I have enough time? Do I have enough energy? And is this the most important thing for me? So let's look at these one by one, starting with stack it. So when we're stacking it here, this process, you're going to stack everything in one place. You want a central location so that you don't have to guess where everything you need to do or all the stuff you need to process is. Every commitment, every process, every have to, every should, need to, ought to, put it in this box. Now, if you haven't done this before, getting everything you need to do in life can take up to 6 hours. I mean, it's a big process. All the things that you've been meaning to get to for the last 6 years, for the next 10 years, it's all in the back of your mind. It's what causes you a lot of the stress that you do, is your brain's trying to keep current and keep you on track to get those things done that you told yourself that you were going to do. But you can't even remember them nowadays because there's too many of them, but you still have the burden of carrying them around. So get them all out of your head, off your walls, put them in one place. If it's not in your inbox, it's cluttering up your mind. Here's the tools you need. You need an inbox of some sort and blank paper. And the reason you need blank paper is I want you to put them into your inbox one thing at a time. I don't want to put big lists of things, because you pull out a big list, it's overwhelming, and it's hard to get excited about getting that next thing checked off. We like to look at emails and check them off because it's easy, one at a time, makes you feel accomplished. In the same way, I want you to deal with these one at a time. And you're not doing them in this process, you're just processing them so that when you can do them, you're doing the most effective thing that you could be doing. Here's some stacking success keys. Get all of your stuff in all your to-dos must be out of your head and into your inbox. Have as few inboxes as possible, too. I found that having an inbox at home and one at work is a good number. So one at home and one at work, because things are going to come to you when you're at home as well. And you got to do stuff at home. Like, just because you're organized at work doesn't mean you could be a mess at home, because you'll carry that burden. Just like if you're a mess at work, you're going to carry the burden of being a mess at work back at home. So you don't want to be a mess at home either. So have an inbox in both places. David Allen, the guy that wrote Getting Things Done, him and his wife have both an inbox. And they don't even ask each other for things. They just put it in each other's inboxes. It's kind of funny. But it works. Empty them regularly. You got to empty them regularly. So let's try this right now. Find some blank. I need you to get at least one blank piece of paper. And I want you to put a line from the top to the bottom on your piece of paper. Does anybody need one? I want you to put a line from the top to the bottom, so there's a left and a right side. On the left side, put projects, my projects. Now, if you did this in real life, everything you put down would be on its own sheet of paper. But for the sake of this exercise, just write them all down. On the left side, let's take a few minutes. Write down as many things as you can, every action that you need to take, everything that you need to get to, any obligation that you have, any commitment that you have, anything on your plate. What are people waiting for that you have? What would your boss ask about? How about your home? What's not finished at home? Do you have to move stuff for someone to sit down in your car when you give them a ride? What's in disarray? What needs repair? What needs replaced? What needs updated? Just get everything out of your head and onto paper. Write as much as you can think of. This process is helpful when you really put everything into the inbox. You can spur your memory and get some ideas of things that you've forgotten that you wanted to do by just walking through the different areas of your life, walking through your office, and just carry a big stack of blank paper and just one at a time write the things that you want to get to or you should have gotten to, commitments that you've had that you haven't followed through with, to yourself and to other people, walking through the office, walking through your work, walking through your home, walking through each room in your home.
But each thing.
Everything goes on a separate sheet of paper because you're going to deal with these things one at a time. For this exercise, I was having you write a list. And if you do your whole life, it's not uncommon for it to take 6 hours to get everything finally in. Go through all those files. Go through all those piles. The piles of all the stuff so that you don't forget. Well, it's become a mountain of don't forget in your office, which has caused you to forget because you can't get to it all. So after you stack it, the next step that you want to do is action it. Managing actions, not projects, is the way to do it. And the key here, there's 2 steps to get to action. One, what does completion look like? What's completion look like? If that thing was done, what would it look like? And then, after you know what completion looked like, then you could effectively say, what's the next physical action to get one step closer to that? Just one step closer. Remember, you want to manage simple actions because it's all the simple actions that added up that create success for you. So what is that end, and what's the next action? If you don't know the end, it's really hard to come up with the next action. That's the best action. You can come up with an action, but is it the best? Are you going to feel good about it? Hard to tell. So let me go over quickly all the buckets here. Here's the process. Because what you're going to do is you're going to process these actions, and then you'll process them into actions, and then you're going to put them into one of these buckets, into one of these areas. So we're going to take a moment and turn all of those into action. So that's what we're doing next. But right before that, let me show you the process here. You have all your stuff. You put it all in your inbox, and basically you ask yourself, what is this? One at a time. You go through your inbox. What is this? And then the question after that is it actionable? What is this that I have in my hand? Can I act on it? If you can't act on it, well, then you either throw it in the trash, eliminate it in the trash, you either incubate it in a someday maybe file. Hey, someday maybe I want to get to this. It's a great idea, but I can't do anything with it right now. I want to put it in that file. Or you're going to file it in a reference because it's information that you want to have. You want to have available when you need it, reference file. That's not actionable. If it is actionable, you want to say, is this the very next action or is it more than one action? If it's more than one action, then it's a project. You're going to have a project list. If it is one action, and then what you ask yourself is one of these 4 options. While you're processing, if you can do it in less than 2 minutes, you do it. Because it'll probably take about 2 minutes to process it anyway, put it in the right file. So you just do it. Now, if it's a phone call, you think it'll be less than 2 minutes, an email, whatever it is, what I want you to do is get out your phone or get out something and time yourself. Because I want your 2 minutes to be the same as the 2 minutes on the timer. I don't want you to make a 2-minute phone call and look down and it's 15 minutes. Whoa! I can't believe that took so long. 2 minutes when you're processing. Because once again, I don't want you to get overwhelmed by spending too much time on things that don't matter as much as things you should be spending your time on. So do it if it's less than 2 minutes. If you're waiting on somebody else, then you put it in the waiting for list. You're waiting for an approval. You're waiting for the data. You're waiting for whatever you're waiting for. Waiting for the signature. There's all kinds of things you could be waiting for that stops you from moving. That's on this list. Now, when it's your responsibility, it's your action to take, it's going to take longer than 2 minutes, then you have a next action list. The next action list is going to be your main go-to list. This is your master to-do list. This is your big to-do list. Everything you need to do is on this list. And you can start categorizing them as from most to least important. And that's going to shift every day. You got to be really familiar. This is a list you're going to look at every day. Another list you're going to look at every day is going to be your calendar. And I'm going to show you some criteria. You're not going to put to-dos on your calendar. You're only going to put things on your calendar that have to be done on specific days at specific times. Because if you put to-dos on your calendar, I've done this before, what happens if you don't get everything done on that day? And then do you just not need to do it the next day? No, you still need to do it, and so now you got to fish through all the past days, and sometimes I've gone back months of looking through all my calendar days, hoping I didn't miss something that I wrote down but didn't get to. And so this alleviates that. So when you process everything in your inbox, here's some rules. Do the top item first, no matter what. When you fill up your inbox and you need to get it in one of your buckets, always do the top one first. Don't go down to the bottom like, oh, this one on the bottom looks more fun. I want to do this one next. Don't do that. We're not actually doing them right now. You're just processing them so you can put them in a bucket so you know that you're doing the best thing because you got everything organized in its appropriate place. So just process first and then worry about doing. Do one item at a time. That's why lists, I don't want you to do lists because I want you to look at one thing at a time. That alone can help you relieve the overwhelmed feeling. And never put anything back into your inbox. Don't do this thing. Oh, it's that. I'll get to this one later. Put it on the bottom. Don't do that because you're not even doing them right now. You're processing it so that you can know when you're going to do it. So one thing at a time. And here's the key. The key processing question is, what's the next action? What's the next action? So let's go back to your project list that you wrote, and let's process it to the next action. Each one of those projects that you wrote down, I want you to come up with the very next action. And remember, simplify it as much as you can, down to a phone call, down to a 30-minute chunk of research, down to 30 minutes of writing for a crappy first draft, whatever that basic next action is. So if I'm going on vacation, my next action is calling HR to see how much vacation time. If I'm writing procedures, my next action is to book 15 minutes of research. If I was going to write a book, I'd sit down for 20 minutes and come up with the 5 chapters. Specificity will help you to propel you into action. Now, the time that I give you is not going to give you a chance to be exhaustive with your list. You're not going to get everything you have in your life down, and you're not going to get all the actions planned out. But this is the process that we're learning. The next part in the process is processing it. But you got to know where your stuff is. All these boxes that you have, holding places. I got it all together, but forgot where I put it. So this is going to help you to know where those are. You got your inbox. You got your trash can, your someday maybe file folder, and your reference. References to hold all the data. Now your someday maybe, it's really useful, inspiring reminders. I love my someday maybe file folder. I love my someday maybe files that I have because that has all these fun things that I can't really act on right now, but it's stuff that I really like to think about or would really like to do. Recipes, restaurants, wines I want to buy and try, books I want to read, videos I want to watch, events to attend, gift ideas, websites, trips, meetings, party ideas, future projects. I come up with exercises that I want to try in my trainings. I come up with new trainings and different ideas. I don't know where I'm going to put it. Put them all in a place where you can find it later. Because when you need to be creative, often in those times, it's hard to be creative. So when you are creative, make sure you capture them in some place that you can find at a later time. That's the someday maybe file. And you got your projects. A project is anything that requires more than one action. You don't want to manage projects, you want to manage actions. Your next action list, these are the actions, your master to-do list. And you're waiting for a list is, once again, you're waiting for someone else. And your calendar, here's Here's the 3 requirements for your calendar.